a coin flip before the first game, and then you alternate selection, and then there's another coin flip before game 3. So I assume Fnatic won that toss. So I like it because the way it's explained is that they don't want a team that wins the initial coin toss to have an advantage, knowing they have an advantage in 2 games, and then being able to prepare 2 game plans before the series. They want it to. The only advantage should be before game 3. So I think it kind of makes sense. But so obviously Fnatic won the toss and chose first pick. I assume that that's what everyone's been choosing, and then the side choice is Dire.
What do you think about the Radiant? They pick Radiant. Don't you think it's strange? Like usually it's either Dire or you first pick.
It's interesting because it's been changing. Radiant also, I believe, had a higher win rate this patch thus far. I think it was about 56%. I might be wrong. I'm kind of pulling that statistic out of my ass, but I believe that's the case.
10 seconds remaining.
Getting word as well. It's actually production is doing an awesome job keeping us updated with some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's the first time that someone's actually picked Radiant when they've had the choice.
Really?
I believe, yeah.
Interesting.
It was eHome yesterday who chose Dire, and when they had selection, they didn't even choose first pick, they chose Dire.
Yeah, we actually did that at MDL, but we recently changed because...
What are the benefits of Radiant for Vici's playstyle, though? I can't really think of that many things. Maybe like Ice prefers the off-lane, or the ancient
I personally think that the Dire off-lane is better. I'm not sure if you all things the same way, or you prefer being on the Radiant.
Honestly, I don't even know. If I feel like the lane's hard, I just buy an Iron Talon and just go chill in the woods.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't really know the difference.
Or you play
Enchantress
and the lane's never hard because you're Enchantress.
Oh, there's an off-lane? Do you mean it's just not the jungle?
I'm saying it's so peaceful.
Alright guys, sure.
I was saying this all yesterday.
Off-lane slash jungle or
the
jungle.
off-lane is the secret shop. That's the off-lane now.
It's really fun. It's like a lot of fun actually to
Hitting creeps in the jungle is fun?
Yeah, dude. Because you're like, okay, well I could be in the off lane or napalming this Chen over here, or I could just buy an Iron Talon. Like in that Batrider game, obviously Bat was a really good hero, but if Ice was just like any melee hero and bought an Iron Talon, he would have been level 5 instead of level 1 in 6 minutes. It's Dota right now, man.
Gotta embrace the Iron Talon.
And they just first picked it. There you go.
Good Invoker taken away from Super, and that was your word of advice, I believe, or no, Gods, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Take away the Invoker, and they're going to first pick it for Fnatic, and mid-1 plays it, I assume?
Yes, mid-1 plays it. Mushi doesn't play Invoker.
Nope.
5 seconds remaining.
Exalt or Crosswork?
Both. Mostly Crossworks. Or their playstyle, because basically the way they are running this team is their tempo control will be mid-1. Ohio and Mushi will be that take more farm. So it's a bit similar to Alliance.
Quick, I didn't notice this, but Vici's all the way down to just 40 minutes of extra time, or 40 seconds rather. So they use a lot of time on their initial 2 bans. I did not notice that. They're like really running out of time right now.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Vici Gaming's turn.
This was like the same way eHome opened their draft yesterday. They opened up with the Night Stalker.
Explain it to me, Winter. I'm 5.
Based on MDR, I know I seem they rate Night Stalker really high because of the way they play it, the Iron Talon. Like what Carl mentioned, you get a very early Aghanim for position Night Stalker.
Vision is king?
Yep, Vision is king. It is indeed. And usually you pair it with something that utilizes the Vision very well. But Batrider is not here. That's a very common pairing, the Bat and the Night Stalker. So I'm curious to see what they actually pair with the Night Stalker Vision.
Void?
Reserve time.
You guys continue. I need to take a few seconds before I comment on this.
Please, Swindle, collect yourself.
What is
You're very
going
emotionally invested
on?
in this game. I quite enjoy having you
What is
here,
going
Swindle.
on? Why is Night Stalker first pick?
Because you're saying like explain it to me like I'm 5. I think you need to be 5 to pick Night Stalker in this situation. And you just slap your keyboard and it's like, oh, NS, perfect, I love it.
This is spooky, I like it.
Like they go NS Razor.
I'm a vampire.
Like,
What is going on?
God. I mean, complexity.
it's the
I
same.
feel bad for Vici Gaming if you ever meet them, because you guys are gonna stomp them. They do this.
hey man, no, they're like really good players. I just don't know. You just had this team pretty much just push on you every game.
Maybe they have a plan, you know, like eHome.
Huh?
They just pre-pick a strat that they already had. You know, they had
They had a
the strat
plan
in
though, they
mind.
wouldn't have used up all their reserve time.
Fnatic's turn to ban.
I mean, I just feel like if you look at this opener and you just think about the power level of these heroes.
Give me a
Vici-
power level.
Well, okay, that's not
Like,
what I mean.
out of 10?
That's not what I mean, James. It's
No,
like
I want power levels.
power levels.
Yeah.
Well,
What's Invoker and Chen power level?
easily over 9,000.
Whoa.
5 seconds
What's Night Stalker
remaining.
Razor power level?
I don't know. They're blue, so 3.
What? They're
Three.
blue?
Reserve time.
Well, we gave Vici Gaming a 3 for our score, so
Yeah.
it suits us.
Yep.
Vici Gaming's
It just,
turn
those
to
heroes
ban.
don't need to be first 2. That's my problem with it. They
They're
could.
never gonna get banned.
Neither of those heroes were
Yeah.
addressed at all in the previous drafts. Even looking at Group A, in the Alliance series, they weren't addressed. I think eHome was the only team that picked Night Stalker thus far, and I just don't
10
know
seconds
why.
remaining.
So if you're in the Vici Gaming booth right now, Swindle, and they're not talking to you, right? They just don't want to talk to you, and you're sat there, and you're kind of like thinking to yourself, you're going to play in the team, and you're just sat there, and they're doing the ban and pick, and you're kind of going into this game versus Fnatic. Are you kind of throwing your hands up in the air, or are you just being like, what are we doing, guys? Are you freaking out, or are you okay?
Are you talking about like if I'm a
10
coach for Vici?
No, you're actually one of the players right now
Oh
for Vici.
Lord.
Vici
Are you freaking out, or you're like,
Gaming's
nah,
turn
this
to
is going to be cool?
No, I'd be asking my manager to grab some chloroform so that I could take over for FY once he passes out.
I would trust an FY. I have faith in his jungle
Okay,
Night Stalker.
all I'm saying is he's got 25 seconds left, and he
10
took
seconds remaining.
It's the
like,
mind game.
so
It's
much
the
time.
Might just no ban you. It doesn't.
5 seconds
Okay,
remaining.
the mind games. He's like, oh,
in my
they
opinion,
think I'm out of time.
you should come
Reserve
into,
time.
especially a game 3, knowing what your first 2 bans are. Fnatic did the exact same 2 bans that they did in the previous games, and it took an extra minute of time to decide, hey, we're gonna ban Batrider.
I think it was they didn't expect him.
10 seconds remaining.
Mushi has not
No,
favored.
but they were already in. They already
5
used like
seconds
45
remaining.
seconds.
I don't know how-
on bans.
when I saw it when the
Vici
Stalker pick, it
Gaming's
was like 30
turn to
seconds.
pick.
Yeah, but it wouldn't make sense for the first. But I don't think they expected
I'd agree with you.
all things. That's
You
the
did.
only confusing part.
We did, of course, but that's just because the Merlini couch is next.
Razor's like okay anti-push. I actually don't know why.
Yeah, but they picked the Razor into the Invoker.
It's a hero that kind of
Fnatic's
plays like
turn to
super,
pick.
like in the mid
it's,
lane.
it's the superhero.
I mean, Witch Doctor, he's cool, right?
against the creeps.
Yeah,
Street
mass
Raptor.
done.
The first
Vici
push.
Gaming's
So Disruptor is
turn
like
to
a
pick.
replacement for the Shaman for Net. He plays this heroes a lot.
It's pretty good against the Night Stalker, I think, because you
Yeah.
get vision off the Q, and you can always land the glimpse. But it's once again a relatively greedy and weak support.
Oh, so that is
Fnatic's
their plan.
turn to
This ban the last few games. Remember, we were kind of theory crafting like, what can ISSI still play? And
Vici
Fnatic
Gaming's turn to
was
ban.
wanting them to pick Brood, it looks like.
I sorry to interrupt, but I really like what Fnatic just did. They obviously knew they were taking Tide and picked it immediately as Vici is on the clock. Like they're gonna have like 20 seconds now to think
Just
about what they want to ban.
Ban what they want to pick.
Mushi's
10
hero.
seconds remaining.
I mean, I think I
5
saw him play
seconds remaining.
play Klings as well yesterday.
Reserve
But
time.
You mean
if they
in
wanna-
scrim?
if they want to aggro and
No,
do
no.
the Tide
In
1v1
that
with
match.
Brood,
Didn't they
or...
Yeah, I think they
You might want to put Tide
Fnatic's
1v1.
turn to
So you
ban.
need quite a strong
Because
hero
Tide
to be
is
offline.
not very good versus like let's say it's a safe lane Razor. Tide is very
Yeah.
good.
Bring
I-
out the
I
Mushi
agree.
Mirana.
You really want the Tide against the Brood, not the Razor. It is a really grim matchup.
Can Brood beat Ty without a
Yes, you
10
can.
seconds
You go
remaining.
for the. You mean the passive plus Orb of Venom build?
Mhm.
Yeah, you probably can, but you
5
farm a lot less.
seconds remaining.
It depends on how you see it. Is it worth winning the lane and farm slower? Because if you do that build and you don't kill the Tide at least once, then your net worth will suffer a lot. Because if you do the Spiderling build, you basically just skip the creeps and you farm jungle, whereas Tide just farms the lane,
Yeah,
so
I-
you farm more.
I think it's probably better to go Spiders here just because of the game that he's in. If they can just take that top tower, Brood can just
Yeah,
completely
control the
control the dire
jungle, to limit
move
the
towards
Chen.
mid.
Yeah.
scared of the push, spinning out the left right.
Mhm.
The Moosh Lash.
Doug. Yeah, it's
Vici
an
Gaming's
interesting
turn
situation
to
for
pick.
Fnatic. I feel like both teams at this point have relatively even
Yeah.
drafts. It's going to come down to how
I actually
early
think
you
they
go.
have to pick it's nice to pick a carry that can help the Brood at this point, because Brood is up
Ember?
1v1. Like
Yeah,
I'm thinking of Ember or like something like Spectre. Like you can actually help the Brood win. You can help to win the lane of the of Brood Mothers. You can at some point TP rotate into
Yeah.
her lane and just get kills.
I think
10
Clinks wouldn't be
seconds
bad, but it
remaining.
kind of
Clinks is
overlaps
okay
with the
too.
Razor and the Brood.
Very single target.
Let's
5
do some
seconds
AF.
remaining.
Back. I like that choice. That's a good pick.
Fnatic's turn
It's
to
just
pick.
it's very good against the Chen,
Mhm.
really good against Tidehunter, and it just makes their lanes very strong and versatile. You could pretty much put Vici's lanes anywhere at this point, and I think Fnatic's going to be in a tough spot if this pick isn't really
What type
good.
of
You actually like the Bristle?
wait? What type
Yeah,
of
love
lanings do
Bristle.
you like? Do you think that it's just going to be Razor mid or Bristle mid?
It's going to depend on Fnatic's pick here, I think. They want to put Razor against Tide above all
Yeah,
else.
that's the best matchup.
If not, if they can't get a good read on it, I
5
think the
seconds
Razor mid
remaining.
for Super, it's a pretty good matchup against the Invoker. And then I would say you put the
Reserve
Brood
time.
safe, yeah, and just Witch Doctor Bristle off, because Disruptor is, again, it's just such a weak support. He's good with levels, but level 2, level 3, Bristle Witch Doctors just
Yeah, I think
kills him
it's
to coconut.
very similar to Shaman, where they are very good at zoning one hero, but when it comes to 2 against 2, the
Yeah.
hero becomes significantly weaker.
Yeah.
So
And
I can see that plan working very well.
it goes back to like my gripe against like picking Lion. I just feel like in this meta, these sort of heroes, you know, the Visage, even Rubik, Disruptor, Rasta, all of these just heroes that, as you say, are very good at zoning, but not so good at actually
Fighting.
yeah. And the Sven last pick, I really like that, and I hope that means we see an Exort Invoker for the series, because that is so good, and I really don't like Phosphox as much. What happens?
Alright, so we're almost getting ready. We'll be going into the game momentarily, and of course we go to Couch 1 for the predictions of who's going to clutch out the series, and the winner of this will actually be going up against Alliance in the upper bracket finals for Group B. Guys, you have to agree this time.
I made the call for first 3 games, so I'm going to leave it to you.
Elder Titan this time. You're going with Fnatic. He wants me to say Fnatic.
Do you think so, Winter? Just once, or there's a reason?
He said he didn't want to let his brothers.
No, I just think
10
that they
seconds
had a
remaining.
lot better preparation this time, and I trust that they will do well.
5
The whole
seconds
tournament, or this
remaining.
I mean,
particular
the whole,
match?
this tournament.
This tournament.
Yeah.
You think they're on the up and
Yeah.
they can prove it? So Couch number 2.
I mean, I feel as much as their draft was maybe a bit slow, and I feel like they didn't have a clear plan. Ice Brood, one of his best heroes, and I think Vici's just the
Prepare for
best. I
battle.
definitely want to side with Vici.
I would agree. I want to say Fnatic, but I've been wrong twice now, so I'm gonna just say Vici's gonna win, because then my actual prediction would be right. Because I still think Fnatic can win the series. I do agree. Vici's actually the better team, but the better team doesn't always win.
Okay, well, we're going over to the commentators. Final game of the series, winner, move on to the upper bracket, and yeah, I will kind of lean a little bit towards Vici. They've definitely been the ones deciding if they win and lose the games. Fnatic being the reactionary team, but let's see what happens in our last game. We go into the match and over to our commentators.
James, so just time for a pause of teams. Fnatic versus Vici Gaming, game number 3. Stuff on the line here. Fnatic definitely would have been able to look at a very big upset if they can actually take out Vici Gaming. That would be the second big upset of this tournament in just the second group. But the lineup is looking a little bit interesting. Vici Gaming have definitely gone for some really strong lane dominance in their pick, and it's looking like they could potentially win 2 out of 3 of their potential lanes. But Fnatic do have a lot of team fight. Blitz, where do you really side when it comes to this draft? Do you favor Vici Gaming's early dominance, or do you think that Fnatic are going to be able to persevere and come through with all their team fight and push?
I say a lot of it depends on how much the Brood is able to accomplish. Like Ice can get a lot done in his lane, then they'll have an okay time. They're putting a lot into this. Sending Burning to the off lane. It's never going to be like a true off lane because he's the Witch Doctor's one of the best full off laners in the game. But you're seeing a lot of hope on Ice being able to do a lot in this mid lane.
They are going to be able to keep the Broodmother away from the Tidehunter by putting Ice in the middle lane, and they'll be able to keep the Razor matched up against the Tidehunter. This is pretty much the ideal scenario for Vici Gaming. They wanted to be able to have the Razor versus the Tide, the Broodmother, able to stay clear of that kind of matchup, and as you said, the Bristleback and Witch Doctor, even if they are in the off lane, it's going to be perfectly acceptable for them. So right now, it's just Burning, as Witcher is going to be spending a bit more time trying to zone out Ohio in the beginning. Meanwhile, FY is just going to be jungling away with his very fast Iron Talon pickup. I think they realized because of the lane dominance that they picked out of their draft, they could afford to get a lot greedier with their forward position. You would see other Night Stalkers perhaps go for the boots first, and the Iron Talon picked up a little bit later, but they could afford for this Night Stalker to be out of action in the first 4 minutes of this game and try and get those levels for the first night time.
And right now, Mushi's doing fine in this mid lane. He's more or less refarming it. Already picked up the first 7 out of the 8.
Oh, Sunstrike! Oh no, the glimpse actually went down right as the Sunstrike was gonna land. They still get the kill on Burning though, so that is all going to be just fine. Burning seeming to underestimate the power of the Forge Spirits and that minus armor that was ticking into him.
I don't know how they're gonna kill Watermelon Man later in the game. I feel like this Tidehunter just looks at them slowly.
Yep. Goes to the mech build, just hangs up and runs at you.
Well, you've got a Chen. So
Oh,
you
that's
have to go
true.
Mech. So, I don't know, you just grab a blink or shit.
Yeah.
Run at people, and what can they do? Because all of a sudden, weird. Oh, it's gonna be fine though. Courier's so speedy, 350 move speed, faster than a CM, man.
Ice with a 15 and 7 Brood Mother. Maybe that's why they're putting so much attention though to the Tidehunter at bottom lane, having Fenrir sit there. Try and keep him zoned out early on in the laning phase to make sure that he doesn't get too big, because as you said, they're gonna have a hard time stopping him.
3 lanes are doing really well overall though for Fnatic. The Tidehunter's already picked up level 3, and Solo Witch Doctor is going to have a hard time. So a lot of it's going to come down to Super being able to rotate. Ben has 15 CS already in this mid lane. Double levels of Great Cleave. He's been able to zone out Ice really well right now. I think we're going to
Go on
this
Burning with the Sunstrike. It looks like they do have enough nuking power. The Exort Invoker showing its strength as the early global power is able to assist in yet another kill onto Burning. Meanwhile, Ohio is actually going to go hunting. It's actually looking for what FY's been doing in the jungle. Of course, he fed himself away earlier intentionally as he bought out all of his items. Just a quick respawn back to base and back to jungling. He's going to go.
Things are going really well right now for Fnatic overall. I thought Vici second. I think they're the better. I would have taken them win this series, but Fnatic's draft in this game looks solid, well built out. Ben is having a much better time than I would have previously did, and that's been without DJ having to rotate too much. He made that first rotation into that mid lane, which was incredibly successful, but this is something that they need out of him. Because in the first game, he was pretty much everywhere. He was a demon. So in the second game, they predicted him a lot better. This time around, feels like they're having an overall better go of things. Their laning phase has been really good right now. Ice has even been to switch lanes because Mushi was doing so well, but then Mushi just rotates back.
Yeah.
He's got 3 levels of the cleave.
Yeah, and a mid lane, that's going to be mid lane Brood Mother. That's pretty well countered. He's not really going to be able to do much. It looks like he's going to be able to run down net here for a potential early kill. The nuke isn't quite enough to finish him off. Fairy Fire used just in case. We do have nighttime up though, and this is where things can really start going the way of Vici Gaming. They can kind of offset some of the success that Fnatic had early on with the rotations of FY. He was jungling away. He reached 4x4 thanks to that Iron Town, has boots and everything else. So he's definitely can get a lot done. But so far his rotations are being spotted out. Doesn't really get a chance to go in Ohio nor mid one at the mid lane.
He does go 2-1-1. Ben was telling us that build sucks, but
pretty necessary for the 4 position Night Stalker. Off lane Night Stalker, the extra level in Stalker in the Night is pretty acceptable, but 4 position, especially against intelligence mid, is necessary.
I'm just giving Ben Gus. You gotta always give the beat. You gotta keep the beat guys on their toes. Mushi.
Is this going to be a is Orchid? Is this going to be an Orchid though? Because we've seen a lot of Broodmothers stay away from the Orchid.
Yeah, but against like an Invoker or not an early BKB Sven, you know, to pick up. Problem right now is the Sven's getting really massive. So is the Chen and the Invoker. Like all three of the cores, with the exception of the Tidehunter. Counting Chen as a core for example, just because farming. He's getting pretty big. Got to pick up the level 6 at a reasonable time. The guy's got stacks going on. He's got an Iron Talon picked up himself. Everything's going really well. Whereas Burning, what is he meant to do? He can't really lane up against any of these individual heroes.
Yeah.
So he's kind of been forced to. He has a bobble, but potential is pretty low on mid one. One's already about to pick up the Midas after like creep waves. the Sven's getting absolute free farm. The game right now is pretty much in Fnatic's control.
The other thing that Vici Gaming aren't doing is they're not trying to counter out the Ancient stack. We talked about the progression of the way that he spends. You need to be able to block out that camp. Mid one is going to be gone on the mid lane. They have the casket to be able to follow up. Silence is there as well, but mid one is going to be able to just walk it off. Ohio was forced to TP, but still seems alright. But they already have quite the big Ancient stack between the Tidehunter and the Sven. They can actually clear through that really early on.
Really for Vici, they've got a stack of their own built up for burning, but don't know if it's going to be as... Burning really needs this though, just to get back into the game.
Yeah.
Whereas the Sven or the Tide could benefit from it, but I feel like they can just plant at some point. And you give this for Mushi, get absolutely massive. And Vici is really in no position to invade that Ancient anyway.
Yeah, certainly not.
Radiant's top tower is under
Really
attack.
do not have the heroes to be able to make that kind of excursion. I would like them to clear it through together, just like Mushi gets all the gold, but I would like a decent experience boost on Ohio. Ice is probably going to be going down here, the Sunstrike combination, and the Chen is going to be able to take him out pretty quickly. And Mushi did use God Strength for that one, so they can actually take this opportunity to take the tier 1 tower. Vici Gaming are losing way more control over this laning phase than I ever expected.
Yeah, and Ohio's about to grab his level 6 on the Tidehunter. Once that happens, the really annoying thing about playing against the Tidehunter, I don't think he should die here. No, he should be fine. The annoying thing about playing against the Tidehunter is this. Get into a position where you're already behind, and you don't really want to fight into a Ravage, because if you fight into a Ravage, you're going to lose like 3 towers to win the fight. But if you just never fight and allow him to take a bunch of towers, you can't really be... You don't really want to be behind when you're getting a hero.
Now, they are trying to shut him out as much as possible. Fairy Fire is going to be popped by Ohio. They're going to turn their attention to the tier 1 tower since they forced the Tidehunter back. But this is... FY has been really ineffective. He tried all night time to be able to find some sort of opening. Couldn't find anything. And even if he did get a little bit better position, they still have the Chen heal to be able to counter his gank out. Ice is going to go for the kill on the Disruptor, brings him quite low. DJ goes down to the bottom lane though. Super is going to be popped by the Sunstrike. Good tank out by Fnatic. They're actually going to go for a little more. FY, Anchor Smash, a little bit more right-click damage would have actually finished him off, but it wasn't quite enough. Disruptor did end up going down to Ice. But still, Mushi is okay with that. He left his support to die and just kept pushing out the lane. Farming away because he's got level 8 Helmet Dominator, Strength Treads, another 1300 gold. He is exceptionally farmed thanks to laning up against a Broodmother.
He's got the max level Drake sleeve now too. Going for the Roshan, or not the Roshan, the Ancient stack at this point. Be acceptable, and Fnatic can even go for early Roshan heroes that they have. Ben Chen, Invoker, and this is a Exort Invoker too, so you've already got the double. And mid one already has the Dynamitis completed, 1800 gold. At some point, like, you have to do something with your Vici. So next nighttime, FY just has to, they have to play around this too, like, so you can't just play this passive farming game against boards that are out farming you this massively. Look at the CS difference alone between the top 2 of Fnatic versus the top 2 of Vici.
Yeah. To be fair, Sven's score is a bit overinflated by obviously the Broodmother, but
that's okay because now he's got a full Ancient stack.
Yeah, which is actually going to... Oh, mid one! Oh, what? Oh, he managed to barely complete that TP and gets back to base despite Void being used there. One of those same frame instances. Super is going to kind of con at the bottom lane. Earlier, Fnatic were able to take that tier 1 tower because of a glimpse send back on the Razor when he tried to TP in to defend the tower. Fnatic are getting so much control and they're actually going to back out 3-man smoke. Are they going to turn back into the jungle? It looks like it. They want to just continue, try and force this one, and see if they can find an opportunity for Tidehunter to be able to use the Ravage for good. But Super is in a good position to be able to get a drain off until the 10 creeps come forward. They have so much control over Super, they're able to just pop him down. FY comes in, but the 10 heal's going to go out, and DJ's actually going to survive for quite some time. Burning is sent back, and DJ gets an opportunity to force another Void before he dies, or maybe not. The body blocks are not allowing FY to be able to connect that Void, so the Chen is able to get out. Now they look towards Ohio, but the mini stun's already been used, so he just TPs himself away. Fnatic cover that fight beautifully, popping the Razor and making sure that they don't give up anything in return.
In some ways, I kind of think that's okay for Vici, because that was the Ravage use, and you didn't lose too much out of that. Like, that could have been a lot worse, but at the same time, picking up a core kill is always going to be okay.
Yeah.
Especially when you just grab the 3 mid tower from Mushi. He's already got the ancient stack. He's going to have... this is starting to get absurd. He's going to get a 13-minute S and Y.
They desperately need this game to go well, but his God Strength is still going out, and Casket was their only real control against him.
So funny. Mushi gets gone on, and then he just goes for creeps. It's like, this doesn't do anything.
He's like, yeah, you guys can't kill me.
Chill out a little bit, guys.
Yeah. Dual Scepter is up for the Invokers, so ready to go for some Meteor Deafening Blast play.
Man, he doesn't even need to do that. If he catches any of the supports, just Forge Spirit plus Cold to get a kill. What is a Witch Doctor gonna do against that?
The 2 supports are going to go up the ramp and run into mid-1. They will be able to get the control, and the silence is out. Silence is only going to last so long, though, as Dual Scepter is able to get laid out. They have the jump away with Ghost Walk, and no counter vision whatsoever from Vici Gaming. That is a huge mistake. They definitely should have an FY or something.
That was one of their better opportunities, but even then, that's good for Fnatic, because you're creating space on some part of the map. Or this fan doesn't go for the S and Y, but a really early blink. 12 minutes into the game, he's got so many items that he shouldn't have. I don't really care about the Brewlings or anything. It's still a lot.
Yeah.
Dire's top tower.
Oh my god. Way more than he ever should have. Net is going to go down as finally FY gets the first successful rotation game for him.
Fnatic for the 3rd game in a row. Gonna go for this early Roshan. Dire side. Believe no Alpha Wolf creep in there, right? But still gonna take this.
Yeah, FY seems like he may have some sort of idea, but he definitely shouldn't put himself in that pit right now. It's gonna be a free Aegis for them. I think Vici Gaming know at this point in time, no, they can't. They don't have the kind of heroes that are gonna be good at quickly rotating to a pit and fight. So instead, they just put Ice take the tier 1 tower at top lane. They'll push at mid and bottom as much as they can, but ultimately that is a complete forfeit of a lot of control to Fnatic. They both take that Roshan, they take the Ancient stack. These are all bigger objectives that allow other teams, other kind of strategies, would have tried to put a stop, but Mushi's just getting total free farm at this point.
Yeah, and Mushi's gonna get sent back to base. They don't want to waste his Aegis like this, but he's just gonna be fine, come back in a second, and this is where Fnatic gets really scary. If the Ravage up on the Tidehunter cap, you can't fight even without that spell. It doesn't really matter that Tidehunter's there. If he wanted, he just not participate in farm, but he's gonna show up anyways, and Fnatic bought the
They do get the dust on him. Ice is getting himself away. Net is not quite in range of a glimpse. Unfortunately, that's a level 3 glimpse. So he does get a send back. Another dart being popped. Ice actually going for the kill. The Ravage is going to be used. They pop everything to be able to get the kill on Ice. Fnatic don't really seem to be shying away from full commitment like that. They know that Vici Gaming can't really fight them anyway, so whatever pickoffs that Fnatic can get, it doesn't matter what abilities they choose to use for it.
Back's gonna farm up another agent. Decent amount of farm. And has so much.
She's gonna run into Burning at the perfect time. He's got dodge strength too, as well as the Blink Dagger still up. Burning's most definitely dead. He's gonna run into DJ. Nuke isn't quite enough, but DJ will still pick up that kill.
I want to play fast now. You want to take out this tier 2, and you don't really want to slow down the pace of the game. I think if they had Ravage, they could have gone for potentially the high ground. They have the mech up on the 10-2. Doubt it. They might be a little bit more hesitant. And God Strength hasn't been used early.
So more likely to go from this push to the tier 2 tower push at mid, but surprisingly enough, Vici Gaming are going to try and contest it, perhaps because the Ravage is down, trying to go for some sort of catch, but it's not going to happen. Net sends him back with a glimpse, TD away, a full and complete extraction from Fnatic.
During this time too, mid-1 has just been farming. He realizes the pace of this game, and they are so happy right now. If you're a Fnatic fan, you're jumping for joy because everything is being done correctly. You're creating space by using 4 heroes to take a tier 2 and the Aegis, and they know that Vici can't contest that. during this time period, the Invoker's like, I'm just gonna get further and further ahead.
Yeah, and there's not the same kind of high ground defense that we saw from game number 1, where Fnatic did have a stumble, right, as they executed perfectly in phase 1 and phase 2, but weren't able to see it all the way through in the early game and end the game as fast as possible. They stumbled, but part of that was kind of the strength of Vici Games' lineup. They don't have the same kind of heroes here, as you said. So important for them to stay ahead. DJ is going to get picked off. Ice gets that kill before the Centaur stun could complete.
So many creeps still, or so many broodlings. I think both of those are dead, right? Yeah. Not much you can do about that, but still just a really small hiccup. Vlad's help to push out a little bit more.
Digo BKB next, because of the potential Fnatic to go high ground soon.
On who?
On Broodmother. No. I think Razor is still good, right? But you just kind of need, don't you need teamfight winning items at this point in time, because you know you're in a little bit of danger of Fnatic going high ground and ending the game?
Oh, Ice when Vlad's what?
Yeah. Not hero. We didn't really talk about that. Good enough.
Sedmir's so dead.
Yeah. Very, very dead.
Your Vici. I don't even know if you have better game. Invoker and Sven that are this farm with the Tidehunter backing up for counter initiation is really, really strong.
Silence, and that is not gonna last long enough. That is only a day duration.
I don't even know what you're supposed to build as Vici. This is such an odd position to be in. You don't really have better mid-game team fights. If you walk into a fight against Fnatic's lineup, you're just gonna get crushed. Think about how the Tide has used Ravage this entire time, and using it to save his support, get solo pickoffs. He hasn't used it once for team fights, and the sad truth is, he hasn't had to.
Right.
Vici's still just so far behind right now that there's been no need for him to get a perfect Ravage off. Like, Ohio can just use it for these individual pickoffs, the Broodmother.
Well, that's a nice little pickup. They actually stopped the Vlad from being picked up by Chrissy. But that's a whole nother problem. Chrissy is able to have a Vlad before 20-minute marker with Arcane Boots and Mech. So
issues on issues on issues.
Yeah.
The Invoker now has a fire too.
But that's why I was kind of talking about the BKB, right? If you don't think you can actually win some of these team fights against Fnatic because Tidehunter, etc. is so strong, but you also are in a position where Fnatic may force those kind of game team fights because they have the potential to go high ground soon. Don't you just try and get the best kind of team fight items you can, which is usually BKB, or do you try and build something else?
Yes, it's not a terrible idea, honestly. The Bristleback's gonna go for an SNY if he needs to. What were you laughing about?
Description of my suggestion. That's not a terrible idea.
I'm really trying to.
I can tell you're having a hard time seeing what is the win condition for Vici Gaming.
Because you've got a BKB stun coming up.
Yeah, they were never supposed to be behind with this kind of lineup.
But our lane's super hard. Yeah. Bushi's just gonna blink backwards. Vici's just being denied at every turn right now. And there's some kind of internal race happening between mid one and Bushi to see who can get the most unbelievable farm.
That's why he gets pulled back by the glint. That'll be another one-off pick there for Vici Gaming. You do have to give Vici Gaming props, though. While we've talked about how the Tidehunters use Ravage for one solo-off pick, it's because they managed to avoid every single team fight that Fnatic ever tried to force. Yeah. They always limit it to 1 or 2 hero deaths and call it a day.
You just have to split up the map. Your Vici, wait for the Aghanims on the Night Stalker. I think this is the biggest item for them. And then play the Vision game and try not to mess up one of the few opportunities that you have, because your timing window. Oh, if you lose like consecutive fights, then Fnatic just take Roshan and go for high ground.
Yeah,
so if you're Vici, just bend, don't break. Like just hold the line for as long as you can.
And rear. There's going to be Glenn's back into the static run. So that's one of those big team fight ultimates willing to be used on the pickoffs. Fnatic know the tempo of this game. They know that Vici Gaming are unlikely to contest. And F1 is actually going to drive here, but Ohio does have the Ravage, and sure enough, they use it here. Had to hold the kinetic field, and then he's not getting away either. Vici Gaming is still trying to fight this out with Ice coming in from the side, but Chen still has the heal. This is looking so bad. Vici Gaming, they avoided team fight after team fight, and they chose one to actually try and fight Fnatic, and not a terrible surprise that be a big loss.
Broodlings are going to try to split up the map, but they don't really care. They're going to go for the high ground now, and finally they walk into the Tidehunter And as expected, you can't fight that guy. He just waits for the Ravage opportunity when 3 heroes are there. Everybody from Fnatic is so farmed.
I'm a bit baffled, to be honest, that Vici Gaming just did that. It's like, oh, you know, Static Storm used on a Witch Doctor. It was the Witch Doctor, it's all fine. Yo, 2-man stun from Mushi, excellent initiation, eliminates Burning, tries to get FY as well, hoping to be able to run him down. Be able to get back to base though, there is no buyback on Burning, but the Broodmother is up in another 10 seconds. It's definitely more than enough time though for Fnatic to take a lane of racks. Vici Gaming are unlikely to contest. If they did 4 versus 5 and lost, that would be straight up the end of the game. So they're just trying to prolong things, but they call it. Vici Gaming, they just seem stumped from like minute 5 as to what to do. They lost their lane so badly when they never should have that they couldn't figure out a way to come back into this game. They tried the farming route, but things had to come to a head eventually.
I sort of disagree there though, because what lane were they going to win? I guess the bottom lane.
I mean, if you look at the kind of the heroes, I guess they picked lane dominating heroes, but didn't necessarily have the lanes that were going to win.
Fnatic's so legit. Gods is right. He can play me all he wants on the panel. I hope he does.